Welcome to Soul Scripture. You don't just enter a room, you shift the entire atmosphere. People glance at you, then look away. Some grow uncomfortable, irritated, or even hostile without a word spoken. And you wonder, is it me? Why do I always feel so heavy in crowds? Why do public places leave me feeling like I've just run a spiritual marathon? Chosen one. Here's the truth. Most won't tell you your energy exposes what others try to keep hidden. It's not your imagination. It's spiritual. You don't just walk in with a smile, you carry light. And that light stings the eyes of those who've grown comfortable in darkness. If you stay with me through the end of this message, you'll walk away with a clear, liberating understanding of why you feel so drained in crowds, why people shift around you, and what it means about your divine mission. This isn't about social anxiety. This is about energetic warfare and your spirit's divine assignment to disarm what others can't even name. The truth is, you've always been different. Even as a child, you likely found yourself pulling back from chaotic spaces, overwhelmed not just by noise, but by energy. You sensed when someone wasn't genuine. You noticed tension others overlooked. Maybe you didn't have the language for it back then. But deep down, you knew when something was off. Your soul has been tuned to a different frequency. A holy one. A frequency that detects deception, masks, and spiritual residue most people have learned to ignore. It's not because you're weak. It's because you're chosen. And being chosen means you're spiritually aware, not emotionally fragile. Every crowd you enter becomes a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. Have you ever wondered why you feel physically tired after simply standing in line or sitting in a meeting? Why sometimes just being around people you barely know leaves you mentally foggy, emotionally drained, or even physically nauseous? It's because your spirit is picking up warfare happening in the unseen. It's not your introversion. It's your discernment doing its job. And here's the part nobody tells you. Many people are not reacting to you, and they're reacting to the light on you. They're reacting to what you carry, to what your presence reveals. And what you reveal terrifies the darkness they've been hiding behind. The world teaches us to be extroverted, to thrive in crowds, to seek community in numbers. But the spiritually awakened know sometimes crowds carry more chaos than clarity. Not because people are evil, but because they're carrying unhealed energy. And as a chosen one, your spirit stands in stark contrast to that chaos. This is why you're often misunderstood. You're not distant, you're discerning. You're not antisocial, you're anointed. You're not shy, you're sent. And that difference, that radiance you carry, it can't be dimmed. But it can become heavy. Especially when no one tells you how sacred that weight truly is. So let's keep going, because once you truly understand what your energy does, you'll never again apologize for being sensitive to the room. You weren't built like the rest of them. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It's the fingerprint of your assignment. From the beginning, you were wired differently, because you were meant to experience life beyond the surface. While others absorb the world through sight and sound, you feel it through vibration, through spirit, through the unseen. You sense when something's off, long before it shows up in the physical. That That's not paranoia. That's discernment. That's your soul's radar, fine-tuned by the divine, alerting you to what's beneath the surface of words, smiles, and polite conversation. Chosen one. You've likely questioned yourself for this. Maybe you've asked, why can't I just be normal? Why do I feel so much? But the truth is, your ability to sense is part of your spiritual armor. Your empathy, your intuition, your emotional sensitivity. These are gifts heaven trusted you to wield. Because the world is loud. And in that noise, the truth often hides. But not from you. Let's be clear, this world runs on illusion. Appearances, performance, image. But you don't respond to masks. You respond to energy. And that means, often, you can't play along. You can't pretend something's okay when your spirit knows otherwise. You can't fake a smile when something foul is festering in the air. You feel the spiritual static that others call vibes, but where they stop at feeling uncomfortable, you're already identifying what spirit is operating in the room. That's why you feel out of sync in public. It's not overstimulation, it's spiritual saturation. Your spirit is processing energies, attachments, and agendas that people themselves aren't even aware they're carrying. Your light operates like a divine detector. And detectors don't blend in, they go off. And because of that, people don't just notice you. They react without even knowing why. Some grow defensive, some become agitated, others stare, and you feel it. Not just in your body, but in your soul. The tug, the heaviness, the unease. As if something invisible is pushing against your presence. That something is resistance, spiritual resistance. And it's triggered by your alignment. The enemy doesn't care about popularity. The enemy cares about frequency. And when your frequency rises to divine alignment, it disturbs every dormant spirit in the room. You're not too much. You're just too real. And realness, in a world of spiritual disguise, is explosive. You've probably tried to adjust, tried to shrink, to speak less, to smile more. But even silence doesn't protect you from the reaction your presence causes. That's because your energy speaks, even when your mouth is closed. Let this land deeply. Your discomfort in crowds is not your body failing you. It's your spirit protecting you, alerting you, guiding you. Your discomfort is data, so stop ignoring it. Stop apologizing for it. Stop letting the world tell you you're too sensitive, when in fact, you're perfectly calibrated to detect spiritual danger. Because when you understand the reason behind your sensitivity, you step into authority. And when you step into authority, crowds lose their power over you. Crowds are more than just people gathered in a space. They are spiritual landscapes, layered with frequencies, burdens, intentions, and sometimes entities. And when you step into that space as a chosen one, something happens that most people will never understand. Your spirit doesn't just enter the room, it engages. You see, your presence is like a sword of light in a sea of shadows. You may walk in calmly, even quietly. But what your energy does is confrontational to spirits that thrive in concealment. It's not a battle you choose. It's one you trigger simply by being aligned. That's why some rooms feel like a storm the moment you cross the threshold. You haven't even spoken. You haven't made eye contact. Yet something feels heavy. That's because spirit sees spirit, and your light registers as a threat. Here's the deeper truth. Many public places are battlegrounds in disguise. Malls, offices, waiting rooms, even churches, anywhere people gather. Energy accumulates, and when no one's cleansing that energy, it lingers. It attaches. It clings to the unaware, and it waits. But when you walk in, it panics, because unlike the average person, you aren't spiritually blind. You may not always know what you're feeling in the moment, but your inner alarm is never wrong. That sudden unease, that fatigue that hits out of nowhere, that irritability that seems to make no sense, it's all signal. You've walked into a zone of invisible warfare. And your spirit is doing what it's been trained to do since before you were even born: defend, discern, and disarm. But let's be honest, it's exhausting. Spiritual sensitivity is a gift, but it comes with weight, especially when you weren't taught how to carry it. Nobody told you that every handshake, every conversation, every glance could involve a transfer of energy. Nobody explained that just sitting near someone with a tormented spirit could drain your life force like a leak in your soul. Yet here you are, chosen and still standing. This is not just emotional exhaustion, it's energetic exposure. And it's time you learned how to navigate it, because this isn't going to stop. You were made for higher altitudes, and with that elevation comes spiritual pressure. What others ignore, you feel. What others absorb, you detect. That's not weakness. That's spiritual alertness. So the next time you feel heavy after walking through a crowd, don't question your strength. Question the room. Ask yourself, what did I just walk into? What frequency was I just submerged in? What was I sent there to recognize or resist? Crowds will never feel the same again. Because now you know you're not just entering spaces. You're engaging assignments. And your body's response isn't betrayal, it's confirmation. Remember, spiritual warfare doesn't need a battlefield. It only needs awareness. And awareness is your anointing in action. There's a reason the most anointed souls in history couldn't stay in crowds for long. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't elitism. It was divine design. The sacred path always includes solitude, not because you're meant to be alone forever, but because you need silence to hear heaven. Look at Jesus, surrounded by multitudes, healing, teaching, moving with power, and yet, again and again, he withdrew, not just to rest, but to realign. After feeding thousands, he retreated to the mountains. After miracles, he sought isolation. Because even the Son of God knew in the clamor of the crowd, spiritual clarity can blur. And then there's Moses, raised in Pharaoh's palace, but called to deliver God's people. Before he could lead, he had to leave. The desert became his training ground, not the throne room. Because deliverers can't be shaped in comfort. They're forged in solitude, where the noise of the world fades and only divine instruction remains. Chosen one, your need for distance isn't random, it's righteous. It's sacred preparation. You can't carry your mantle and mingle with every frequency. Not everyone is assigned to your spirit. Not every energy is meant to brush against yours. Some environments are designed to dilute your discernment. And the enemy knows that. This is why crowds feel so foreign, not because you're antisocial, but because your anointing is allergic to spiritual noise. Have you ever noticed how drained you feel after social gatherings? Even when nothing bad happened, it's because your spirit was in constant translation mode, reading energy, filtering motives, sensing undercurrents, dodging projections, and all of this silently, invisibly. It's not physical fatigue, it's spiritual fatigue. But let me tell you what the enemy hoped you'd never realize, that fatigue is evidence. Proof that you are activated. You are not a passive soul. You're a spiritual force. And when you show up, demons don't just take notice, they panic. Some people drain you because they unknowingly demand energetic healing from you. Your peace becomes their crutch. Your presence becomes their comfort. But without your permission, it becomes theft. So yes, you feel tired. But that doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're working. Even when you're still. Even when you're silent. Because your light doesn't clock out. And just like Moses, just like Jesus, you'll find that the crowd is rarely where clarity speaks. The crowd is where the noise lives. And the more you're pulled from it, the more your purpose sharpens. Here's what you must hold tight. Separation is not punishment. It's preservation. And that lonely feeling, that's not abandonment. That's alignment. Heaven is hiding you in plain sight, protecting your frequency, sealing your power. Because when your time comes, and you're called to walk back into the crowd, not to blend, but to lead, you'll do so with the clarity of one who knows the difference between noise and truth. Let this settle deep. Your solitude is sacred. Your retreat is righteous. And your weariness, that's just the sound of your spirit saying, mission accepted. You've felt it before, the moment you enter a room and someone looks at you like they've known you forever, or like they've been caught. No words have been spoken, no introductions made. But something unspoken cracks open. That's not coincidence. That's spirit recognizing spirit or confronting it. Chosen one. Before people engage with you intellectually or emotionally, their spirit has already reacted to your energy. That means the interaction begins long before the conversation ever does. And some people's demons, they start scrambling the moment you walk in. You've probably been accused of being too intense, too quiet, or making people uncomfortable just by being yourself. But let's call it what it is. Your presence confronts what others have been hiding from. Your authenticity exposes their disguise. Your calm threatens their chaos. Your purity disturbs their corruption. And the reaction you get, that isn't about you. It's about what's reacting to you. You don't have to say a word. Demons read energy better than humans read faces. When your frequency enters a space that's been resonating with deception, spiritual warfare ignites. This is why some people suddenly get irritated around you for no reason. Why others start to gossip, fidget, or over-explain themselves. Their spirit is scrambling to defend territory your presence is reclaiming. You are a walking reminder of truth. And in a world addicted to illusion, truth is disruptive. The spiritual realm is not silent. It's active, alive, moving. And when someone is carrying a spirit of manipulation, bitterness, lust, envy, whatever it may be, your presence begins to expose it, not through accusation, but through vibration, through light, through divine contrast. And that exposure is uncomfortable, not because you're judging them, but because your alignment makes their misalignment undeniable. Let's bring this closer. Have you ever tried to befriend someone, and they turned on you without explanation? Or maybe a stranger started acting distant or hostile without cause. That's not personal. That's spiritual. You didn't offend them. Your energy revealed them. And some people will do anything to avoid being seen at that level. What's heartbreaking is how often you're misunderstood. They call it arrogance. You call it peace. They call it judgment. You call it discernment. They see threat, you're just breathing. But this is the cost of carrying clarity. You become a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. Mirrors don't flinch. Mirrors don't apologize. There's a spirit behind the silence people give you. There's an energy behind the shift in their tone. And your job is not to explain yourself, it's to stay aligned. You are not called to comfort the demons in others. You are called to walk in the light, even when it burns. Let this be your permission. You don't need to shrink to be accepted. You don't need to apologize for the reactions you trigger. They're not rejecting you. They're recoiling from what's hiding in them. So stop questioning your presence. Start honoring your impact. Because when the light shows up, darkness doesn't go quietly, it trembles. You say you're tired, but it's not the kind of tired sleep can fix. It's deeper than that. It's the kind of weariness that sits in your bones, that drapes itself over your shoulders the moment you walk into certain places or around certain people. You rest and still feel drained. You're careful with your time, but still exhausted. Why? Because your spirit has been laboring in realms others don't even believe exist. Chosen one. Your exhaustion is sacred. It's the invisible cost of spiritual labor. You're not lazy. You're not weak. You're working even when you're still, even when you're silent. Especially when you're surrounded by energy that contradicts your alignment. Every time you enter a space and feel the air tighten, your body may not know what's happening, but your soul does. It's reading the room. It's absorbing what can't be spoken. It's protecting you from invisible weights you weren't meant to carry. But often, you carry them anyway, not because you choose to, but because your heart is open, because your light magnetizes wounded souls who unknowingly treat your peace like a plug for their chaos. They don't always mean harm, but that doesn't mean harm isn't done. Some people feel better around you and you feel worse. They call it good energy. But what they really mean is, I feel safe stealing your light. And I don't know why. You weren't created to carry everyone's shadow. You were created to illuminate it, to expose it, and to walk away when necessary. But when you don't know that, you stay, You engage. You absorb. And then you wonder why your soul feels sore. Let's be honest, you've probably had moments where you felt like giving up. Moments where you questioned your sensitivity. Where you thought maybe you were the problem. But you're not the problem. You're the solution. And the enemy has been trying to wear you down, so you never figure that out. Spiritual fatigue is real. It's what happens when your spirit does the heavy lifting, while your mind is still trying to rationalize why you feel so off. It's what happens when your aura is under attack, and you're told to just relax or stop overthinking. But chosen one, let this be your revelation. Tiredness is confirmation. It means you're active in the invisible. It means your soul is walking through fire and coming out with no smoke. This doesn't mean you stop showing up. It means you start showing up aware. You protect your peace. You set boundaries like their armor. You listen to your body when it tells you. We need space. You don't attend every gathering. You don't explain every departure. You move in alignment, not apology. And most of all, you stop confusing spiritual exhaustion with spiritual failure. You're not failing, you're filtering. You're not broken, you're breaking through. And when you finally learn to honor that fatigue, to sit with it, to ask it what it's telling you, you'll discover that your tiredness was never weakness. It was wisdom, whispering that the work you're doing is holy. You were never meant to fit in. That ache you feel in crowded rooms, the unease in shallow conversations, the subtle pull to withdraw it all points to one sacred truth you were designed to disrupt, not to disappear. Your presence carries weight, and not everyone can stand under it. Chosen one, your aura is anointed. It doesn't whisper. It declares. And when you walk into a space, the atmosphere shifts not because you try to stand out, but because you can't help but stand firm. You don't speak confusion, you speak clarity. You don't echo noise, you radiate truth. That alone makes people nervous. Some will tell you that you intimidate them, but they won't admit it's not really you, it's the conviction you carry. The authority, the knowing, the calm assurance that cuts through facades. And in a world built on performance, your authenticity is confrontational. You've probably walked into rooms and felt the silence, seen the glances, picked up the energy shift before anyone spoke. That's not paranoia. That's spiritual pressure reacting to divine presence. Your light doesn't just shine, it reveals. And not everyone is ready to be seen. Some environments are built on lies, unspoken agreements, silent tolerances. And your presence walks in and makes those agreements uncomfortable. You become the question they've been avoiding, the truth they've been suppressing. You didn't ask for that role, but heaven assigned it anyway. Let's go deeper when you were younger. Maybe you thought something was wrong with you. Maybe you thought, why do people stare? Why do I feel like I don't belong? Why do I keep being excluded? But now you see it. You weren't being rejected, you were being protected, separated, preserved. Because what you carry isn't for entertainment. It's for elevation. Your path requires consecration. And that means some doors had to close, some crowds had to scatter, Some friends had to exit so your energy could remain clean. You're not disturbing people because you're loud or aggressive. You're disturbing them because your alignment silently rebukes their compromise. You're triggering dormant conviction. You're stirring buried shame. And you're doing it just by being in the room. That's the power of the chosen. And here's what they don't want you to realize: your sensitivity, your solitude, your strange sense of separation that's not a punishment. It's a platform. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, to pierce through illusion like a blade of light in a fog of lies. So the next time a crowd drains you, remember, it's not because you're broken. It's because you're different. And different carries demand. There is a cost to clarity, a weight to wisdom, a price to power. But you were born for this. You are a divine interruption in the systems of deception. And when you finally stop apologizing for your light, you'll stop attracting those who only loved you in the dark. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them shift in their seats. Because you were made to shine, even if it blinds a few on the way. By now, you're starting to feel it in your bones. This truth was never about weakness. It was never about being too sensitive or too drained. It was always about alignment, about spiritual accuracy, about knowing who you are and finally refusing to apologize for it. Chosen one, your energy is not too much. It is exactly enough to shift dimensions, disarm deception, and expose what was never supposed to remain hidden. That draining feeling you experience in crowds, that's not proof you're fragile. It's confirmation that your presence is powerful, that your spirit is on assignment. You don't blend in because you weren't sent here to. You weren't called to be part of every group, every crowd, every event. You were called to shift spaces, not settle in them. And every time you walk into a room and feel it tighten, every time the air changes, every time someone looks at you like they've been exposed, it's because your light spoke before you did. This is the life of the anointed. Misunderstood, isolated, misread, and yet so necessary. Because the world doesn't change through echoes. It changes through frequency, through souls who carry something so real, so undeniable, that even demons get uncomfortable in their presence. You were never made to entertain. You were made to illuminate. And yes, that means you'll walk alone at times. You'll feel invisible, even while being watched. You'll get invited, but still feel like you don't belong. But it's not because you're lacking. It's because your spirit refuses to compromise. And the more aligned you become, the more uncomfortable misalignment feels. Don't suppress your power to soothe other people's shadows. Don't downplay your knowing to fit into spaces where confusion reigns. Don't dim your light to avoid attention. It's the divine that lit your flame. Your aura is a warning to the enemy. Your presence is a problem to the false. And your energy, it's a mirror. Not everyone likes what they see reflected. So go ahead. Withdraw when needed. Rest when called. But never again question your nature. Because you're not here to adjust to the crowd. You're here to call it higher. And those who can't rise with you, let them fall away. Chosen one, as you move forward, remember this: you are not drained because you're weak. You are drained because you're divinely engaged. Your spirit has been doing the work long before your mind catches up. And God is protecting you in the isolation, not punishing you, preparing you. Rest is not a retreat. It's a spiritual strategy. Your boundaries are sacred. Your peace is non-negotiable. And your discernment, it's heaven's GPS inside of you. Trust it. Follow it. Protect it. Now, if this message stirred your spirit, take a moment, subscribe, like, comment, and share it with someone else walking this same road. Your confirmation might just be theirs too. God bless you. And just before you go, have you ever wondered why you never quite feel tired when you're alone in nature? That next message is about the hidden sacred spaces your soul remembers. Places where heaven still whispers,